Hello everyone. We at St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management strive to deliver the bestest possible education to you. Okay. The subject that we are going to study is the principles of software engineering. It is the subject code is CSC 302F and it is for CSC 6th semester into MDU University Rohtak. So I'm Shalini. I'm a assistant professor with Department of CSC, and we shall be looking for the following topics today: introduction as to what exactly the process of software engineering is, the software product, its emergence, and its evolving role. Okay. So, what exactly is software engineering? See, software engineering is made up of two words. The first being the software, and the next being the engineering. So, what exactly do we mean by software? A software is a set of instruction, data, or programs that are used to operate computers and execute specific tasks. Or, in a more generic sense, we can say that these are the software computer programs that are running on your PCs, on your phones, your tablets, or other smart devices. Say, even if I buy a smart washing machine, and the program that is making it work is actually a software. The next is the engineering. So engineering is about developing products that are well defined and they have some scientific principle on based on which they are working. So software engineering is an engineering branch associated with the development of software product using well defined scientific principles, methods and procedures. The outcome of software engineering is an efficient and reliable software product. So there are various definitions. So one given by IEEE is that the application of systematic, disciplined, quantifiable approach to the development, operation and maintenance of software. And it is the application of engineering to software. Okay. Now, a German computer scientist, Fritz Bohr, he defined software engineering as the establishment and use of sound engineering principles in order to obtain economically viable software that are reliable and they work efficiently on real machines. And Bohm defines SE as the practical applications of scientific knowledge to the creative design and building of computer programs. It also includes associated documentation needed for developing, operating, and maintaining them. Okay, next we come to software product. See, software products are nothing but these are the software systems that are delivered to the customer with the documentation that describes how to install and use the system, right? So, if I say that I deliver you washing machine, so without the user manual, the documentation part of it's not complete. So it need to have the software, it need to have the documentation, and there are in certain cases, the hardware also, the system also may be a part of it. So the two goes together. So these are produced with the help of software process. So software process is nothing but it is the way of producing the software product. So we have two kinds of software product. The first is generic and the next one is customized. Now generic products are nothing but these are standalone systems, right? And they are developed by a production unit and sold in an open market. Say they are developed for all, like you develop them in a general sense for everybody and everybody can use them. Whoever is ready to pay the price of it can go and afford the services of the software product. Then the next is the customized product. See, these are the things that are specifically made for a specific customer or to accomplish a specific task. Okay, say for an example, an Android system, which is actually a software also. So what it does is that it's a generic software, right? You produce it in general to be used by a number of phones. Customized products, say for an example, I would say, if I have a salon, or say if I have any kind of a services. So if I go out to an IT professional and say, please develop my website for this thing, so at that point of time, he will be providing me my customized product, right? So there are various parameters onto which I can judge a software product. Say if I have a scale from 1 to 10. So if I mark it 7, then what exactly the 7, how do I mark that number? That it is okay on this parameters on a scale of 10, like I have given you 7 marks. So there are various parameters that basically goes after it. Like, so the first one is the operational. This tells how good a software works on operations like budget, usability, efficiency, correctness, functionality, dependability, security, and safety. See, each and every single word is self definable. We know what is budget, what is usability, efficiency, right? So, all this comes under the operational aspect of a software product. Next is transitional. See, transitional is important when an application is shifted from one platform to another platform. So, portability and reusability comes into this area. Like how my system is adaptable, how much is it adaptable, or how I can say platform independent services are the one that really comes into it. So, the next is the maintenance. Maintenance. So, this specifies how good a software works in the changing environment. Say modularity, maintainability, flexibility, and scalability comes into the maintenance part. See, once we make a software, the work is not done completely, because unless and until we go out and maintain the software and see as to how it is, like how in the future is going to perform, or what are the aspects that it need to cater to. So maintenance is a very very important part. Next is dependability. So dependability includes various characteristics. So dependable software should never cause any physical or economical damage at the time of the system software. Right. So if my one software, like if is there are n number of software. Say so for an example, I'm making a software for a nuclear reactor. Or say I'm making a software for a missile launch kind of stuff. So if one software has dependability onto the other software, so if one fails, consequently the next one fails and the entire system is crashed, right? So software product has various aspects to it. Like first, the customer tells the the analyst its requirement. Then the analyst is the one that really analyzes it, sees as to what exactly has to be done, and then it goes into the system design, coding, and testing phase, and then you finally deploy it. So and maintenance comes after deployments, and then there are continuous updates regarding to, say you release a software and then you release the next version of it as an update. So there are other also aspects also, like in time. The software has to be delivered in time and in budget, and it has to be efficient. Efficiency means, like say if I have 10 other softwares or things running onto my system applications, so it should not be the one consuming my entire CPU time or processing time. So it should be efficient. It should not overuse the system. And usability specifies like how friendly it is for the user. So it basically deals with the user interface and documentation stuff. Functionality is that it need to perform all the functions correctly that it is supposed to perform. So whatever that you tell it, it is really doing it with flying colors. Next is adaptability. See, the software system should have an ability to get adapted to a reasonable extent. This is very very important, right? Because in these days the hardware continuously keeps on changing, and the programming language changes, and there are various things that things change, like this it's a time wherein the changes are very very fast. So the software has to be adaptable. If you make a software catering to a particular need which is not adaptable, it is basically no use at all. So you need to optimize all these parameters. Sometimes you have to look at one parameters and then you have to compromise on the other, so it's a trade off. So say for an example, if I have a better user interface, so but simultaneously then I have to say that it reduces my efficiency. So optimizing is nothing but, like, it is very specific to the software that it caters to. So optimizing is basically like doing like what is my requirement pertaining to my field. Like for this software product, this is the thing that it needs to achieve. Say things that is say anything which is a nuclear reactor software has to be very very fast. It needs to adapt the changes, and it need to be very very reliable. So and in case of website response kind of thing, I can literally I can bit of a compromise kind of situation. So you understand, like how it is subject. The optimization is very subjective task. So next topic is the emergence of software engineering. See, software engineering is a subject that has emerged itself from, and that has actually gone through various phases from development, from its very first inception into the 1950s, and all this have been due to the result of various factors. The programming style have been changed, the hardware has been changed, the machines have been changed, so everything has been changed. So all these things basically contribute to how my software has emerged, how software engineering has emerged. See, if I talk about early computer programmings into the 1950s, so they were very very smaller in size, and they took considerable time to process. Right. So at that time, assembly language were very specific to computer architecture. So the programmer used to use his own style to develop the program, which needs to be specific to him. So then COBOL came, Fortran came. So we shifted to from early computing to a little higher programming languages, which were more English-like. So these increase the productivity of the programmers, but still, they were limited in size, and it was still pertaining to the programmer's style and experience. Next came the control flow based designs. See, with the flowchart technique coming up, there was this very complex that as the size was increasing and the complexity was increasing, more and more complex programs were coming in. So the structure programming was became a very powerful tool. So from one module to other module, how the sequence, like how the control is passing from one instruction to the next, was the one that really redefined this software engineering subject. Next was the data flow oriented design. When the VLSI, the era of the VLSI, with the coming of that era, so there were more developments into networking, and more and more GUI came into being. So data flow oriented techniques came into existence. So the flow of data to business functions, it was basically represented with data flow diagrams, DFDs, and IEEE calls it bubble charts or workflow diagrams, right? Next was the object oriented design. This is the strongest one, and it has really revolutionized the concept. See, object oriented designing has this very beautiful thing in itself, that it is reusable. So, this reusability has actually given you the power that you do not have to create anything from scratch. So anything that you're doing it, you can actually reuse it, and this is like a very very positive aspect that we look forward to, and this is very very helpful also. Okay. Now the evolving role of software. See how the software has evolved itself, right? See, the software is being developed, then how it changes itself, this evolution comes from the very it's a very biological term, right? We can see the Darwin's theory of the evolution. What it says that how the species have evolved over a time. See, the same man, if I look at the evolution of the man, so it has changed itself according to the changing environment. So similarly, the software also, the software is produced, like say for the first time it's being produced, so you produce it with kind of a rough figure into your mind, you develop a prototype of it, and then you really see to the you take feedbacks from the user, from the customers, and you really see that is this exactly what what I wanted. The user thinks this, and then he gives his feedback, so you make changes to it, and then you again follow the same process. You do patchworks in them, you develop them, you refine them. So this is all about software evolution. So it starts from the requirement gathering phase, then you create a prototype, you get a feedback of it, and then of the users any changes that he suggests, you do consecutive updates and maintenance, right? And even after you released, you actually deliver the product into his hand, you need to go for continuous updation of the software, so to match the latest requirements of it. See, the evolution process, it includes the fundamental and activities of change analysis, release planning, system implementation, and releasing a system to customer. Right? So all the four processes are being catered to. You change the like the change identification process is started, then you propose like what exactly can be changed into the system, or this is what we can do better, then the evolution starts, and then you get a new system, and again then you take a feedback of it, you identify as to what exactly was missing into this, right? Okay, so there are these very four laws that are used for software evolution. The first being the law of continuing change. Continuing change suggests that the software system has to be developed with this very basic law into mind, that the things will change continuously. Like the real world is very very subjective to change. So your software has to be adaptable, have to be made like that. That it needs to keep in mind that it is continuously going to go into change. The next is the law of increasing complexity. What does the law of increasing complexity states? It states that when the structure, as in more it develops, as in when you improve, as in when you make it more effective, so you continuously it becomes more and more complex. So that complexity and that it power that it can really simplify it and be simplifiable to use is the one that you need to cater to. The next is the law of conservation of organizational stability. This is one of the very important concept, I would say. See, any organization. See, if we are running a company and I have to keep a record of to my employees, and I buy an assessment tool for it, say an attendance record for it. So this is a very very costly product. They deliver me the attendance score. They deploy this thing into my system, and then I can track my attendances. So over a period, this is something that I'll be using over a period of 20 years, or say more than that. So in that I had to be keep in mind that stability is one of the very very basic issues. See, it need to be independent of the various resources to be inside, like it need to be standalone sort of stuff. Next is the law of conservation of familiarity. This states that during the active lifetime of a program, what are the changes that are made in the successive release? These are almost constant. So it means that you need to have in your mind that what are the changes that would come into the next 1 year or the next 2 years or the next 3 years. So you need to be familiar with it. So we are done with the software evolution. So a few important questions from this are: what is a software engineering, or what is meant by software engineering, or define the process of software engineering? What is a software product? How do you judge a product? See, how do you judge a product is being equivalent to asking what are the various parameters onto which you measure it, or you say that the software is good or bad, right? The next is how is the field of software engineering emerged over a period of time. So we saw the different the programming language, how it changed, the hardware, how it changed, and how the software engineering changed, right? Next is what is software evolution, and what are the requirements or need of software evolution. See, so this is very important, like what exactly it is being required for, and why do we need it exactly from. So we are done. Thank you so much.